All right. We good, Brant? Everybody hear us?
We should be on. And
Looking good? All right. All right, folks. We're just going to pick up where we left off because I'm assuming you guys know the drill. And yeah, Lindy, how are you doing this week?
Hi. I am doing good. I'm doing spiffy. Catching up on all the things that I got behind on last week. So that's been my day, my week. But yeah, I'm just here, just doing good. I'm excited for Origins next week.
Oh yeah, nice. It's gonna be great. And then like Gex after that, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's
I get like a week on a con, week back home, week at a con, week back home.
Yeah, I'm planning my fall con schedule right now. It's gonna be busy, but it'll be fun. It's great, and good to hear that you had a week to catch up. TK, I hope that you are not eating or writing.
I'm not.
How are you doing?
I'm trying to think of really good names for this new show where we play post-apocalyptic snorks.
Judge, you found that homebrew class. The Oath of the Snork Paladin.
Muppets Treasure Island, Electric Boogaloo.
Josh and Anna are joining us as soon as they are able, both by their parental obligations, familial obligations, keep them away. But yes, so yeah, all right. Snorks. All right, so you're rolling with a snork?
No, I want to be one of the characters from Jabberjaw, but you know me.
Oh, which one?
No. No, I'm going to play a water genasi, so I'm excited by that. Oh, okay, you sound considerably more disappointed when I said that.
I mean, like, I feel like that you'll be able to find a way to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or play the witch character from Bedknobs and Broomstick.
Excellent. Yes, and we're here doing something different. We are the main game of Lamb Between Two Rivers is on pause for a while as some of us who have sort of like peeked behind the curtain of a certain upcoming book in September that may or may not take place in hell. Actually, it does take place in hell. It's after the whatever's. We're going to wait a while to do that and play us some different characters in a different part of the Land Between Two Rivers, far, far, far to the southeast, past the old Yuan-Ti swamplands and into a chain of islands known as, well, for now they're known as the Shattered Land because my brain is in that kind of mode. And in fact, some of the things that I wouldn't mind the players' help with today in the session zero are coming up with some maybe more evocative names for some of these places, as opposed to the Shattered Land and Old Saltmarsh. So, but we're going to be using material from the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, mostly because as the more I read it, the more I'm like, man, this book's kind of awesome. Like there's a lot of really fun stuff in it, and we're here today making some characters, getting them to fit into the world, and nailing down some details about that. Before we get started, big shout out to show sponsor Tabletop Loot. Go and check them out. It's that dry period between holidays, but maybe you got a birthday coming up, a baby shower, an anniversary, bar mitzvah or something like that. You just wake that you just want to cheer someone up with, like just some dice. You never know, like you really help somebody out, cheer up their day, and like make things better. Butterfly effect and all that, guys. So Tabletop Loot is a place to check out. And yeah, here we go. So normally I would send you guys a primer that's like, hey, here's some minor details about the setting and like to help you get your head in place. But I realized that I was basically either going to write like way too much and send you guys like a 9-page thing, just like that's not what I want. So I was like, the big question that I have, and maybe we're just going to chat about it for a minute before we'll wait on Josh and Anna, is like, what do y'all like want to play? Are y'all excited about like underwater type stuff? Is it like playing through the adventures in Ghosts of Saltmarsh? I threw out also using maybe Hot Springs Island and exploring parts of that.
Excuse me?
Hot Springs Island's was that?
Was that
do you know what it is? Does anybody not know what it is?
Fitzgerald Gray. Was he the designer on that? Scott Fitzgerald Gray.
Let's see.
Who was it?
Okay.
What the hell is that? That's awesome.
Springs Island's really good setting.
Yes. Yeah. Scout
there you
Show
go.
edited by Layout. So it's like this is the player's guide for it, and the idea is that you've got this map of a jump. You know, this is like assuming you're in a Pirates of Caribbean type world, and it's like you work for a company of whoever's, and you're paid to sort of like find out what this island is. You get like a checklist of the stuff that's already there. I would make it fit the setting, obviously, and it wouldn't be quite as like Pirates of the Caribbean, but there's a lot of cool stuff in it, and the way it's set up makes it super easy to prep for.
That all sounds great, but I thought you meant like anime hot springs.
Oh, my bad
I was
about
like,
that.
It's not
I'm
too
sorry.
far.
I
It's not too
thought
far
you
from
were-
that.
No, it's
Well,
fine.
there's that hot
It's my
open
own
smut
fault.
supplement.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm happy to help.
No,
incorporate,
it's-
so
It's too late.
Yeah,
I just thought exactly, Prue. I thought
Yeah.
that this was going to be like Dead or Alive volleyball.
Listen,
Paradise
first off-
Island vacation.
First off, can I show you guys? Well, I might not be able to show you guys some of the pictures from this book, but I will show the players some of the pictures from this book. Part of Hot Springs Island is it's built on an elven bathhouse, the ruins of the bathhouse where they worshipped an erotic fertility goddess.
Yes,
Bathhouse
that
episode.
part. Yeah,
there's the ruins of
but
the
bathhouse episode. That's just
Bathhouse
the whole
episode.
season.
Certainly, yeah, you
Bathhouse
could easily, yeah. It's like picking through the
This is
ruins
gonna
of
be
a
a
highly
drama?
advanced magical bathhouse, rescuing elementals.
Is it a haunted bathhouse?
Certainly is haunted. Yes,
Oh fuck yeah!
yeah.
Is
it's
it
in the
haunted by a sexy lady?
multiples easily.
Fuck yeah!
They all died in a drug-induced ecstasy. and-
Oh, that's weird.
No, that's perfect.
It's really
and then
weird.
you can haunt it like every so often, just, reenact. Recorders in them.
So that's sort of what I wanted to run by you guys. Like I had three broad ideas in mind. One of them is to take Ghosts of Saltmarsh and just like make it Land Between Two Rivers, run through those adventures, play them out, whatever. The other one was to use this Hot Springs Island, make it Land Between Two Rivers, and find a framing device that's similar to like you've been hired by X company to explore this place, to be like, give you a reason to go out there. And the idea is that we would make trips and do expeditions every time we play, basically.
Okay.
And then the other one is just messing around and using the random tables and stuff, and just like
What we usually
being
do.
pirates and freebooters and and that kind of thing. But like no, otherwise, we just like every time we play, it's like, all right, what do you find out there, and what's on this island? And
Okay, so I
there's-
want to fight the shit out of a kraken, and also mind flayers, but sexy.
Ooh, okay, all right, Kraken.
I want to name our boat the Chum Guzzler.
God damn it, Lindy!
So first, Lindy's
Don't
gonna
nod,
have to,
Josh.
you're gonna have to get. It's gonna take a lot to get you close to a vehicle.
Okay.
But that's the
Throw
other
it
thing.
out there now.
A lot, as in we have to pay a lot of money, or a lot as in we have to kill a lot of people.
Well, it's D&D, aren't they the same? Like
They don't have to be.
they're
They're not
before-
mutually exclusive.
One's a necessity and one's for fun.
Chum Guzzler,
Yes.
a ship. A ship name. It's
My
just-
favorite ship name.
mhm.
Oh, and I
have
want
many, but
like
that one's my favorite.
I'm gonna absolutely hold this campaign hostage until we get the Sinbad animated movie with Michelle Pfeiffer's sexy heiress goddess.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Sinbad
Only one who saw that
animated.
movie, that's fine.
I have vague recollection.
Oh my god, she's so hot.
Shut up. All right, you're gonna have to put a picture up in chat. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
That
Heiress.
IE or EI? I forget.
It doesn't matter. Heiress from Sinbad. I'm gonna link in the chat. You're welcome, chat.
Thank you. All right. So welcome, Josh. We are discussing sort of just what sort of game do we want. I had pitched three broad ideas. One of them is to sort of play through the adventures in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, but Land Through Two Rivers. The other is to explore Hot Springs Island using the rules from Ghosts of Saltmarsh to kind of like supplement it. And then the other is to just mess around with the random stuff that's in Ghost of Saltmarsh and be like freebooters and you know, every week's a different kind of thing.
Well, I don't know what Hot Springs Island is, but it sounds fun.
Elven bathhouse.
It's not what it sounds like.
Elven bathhouse jungle crawl. But it's very well done and designed with ease of prep and ease of play in mind.
It's haunted by sexy ladies.
There is that as well. There's a lot of sexiness in Hot Springs Island. It's a steamy jungle, you know. People don't wear
jungle.
You know,
Yes.
you know, there's harems, things like that.
Ah, I'm ready.
Damsels to be rescued.
Oh,
Certainly.
okay, I don't care about them.
Yeah.
I do care about the steam and
There's a lot of steam. There's even
the
steam.
sexy mind flayers.
Yes, the sexy and so we're making requests right now. Right now we've got Kraken Fight, Mind Flayers but sexy. There's an eroticism to underwater life that I think we're all going to enjoy exploring.
Yeah.
Anyway, that Chum Guzzler be ship name,
Yes.
preferably Lindy's character's ship name, and that we're going to find some way to incorporate Michelle Pfeiffer's character from the Sinbad anime.
Oh fuck yeah! I sent y'all a link, by the way.
I saw
Every scene of hers when she's on screen in the video, in the movie.
Wow.
I've never seen this before.
Really?
I stopped after Lion King. I stopped watching animated movies.
Really? After the line?
This is gray in my hair. I'm fucking old.
I have gray in my.
I stopped. What came after the Lion King?
Hercules.
Aladdin?
Was it Hercules?
Aladdin was before. Aladdin was after Beauty.
Yeah, I've never seen
I don't know. I just remember
Hercules.
being really obsessed with both The Lion King and Aladdin as a kid.
When Hercules.
Well, they had some really good press.
might have been. I think Pocahontas actually came after the Lion King.
Eh.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
never
I
seen it.
boycotted that
You
one.
probably skip Pokemon.
Mulan?
Yeah, I've never seen it, so it's fine.
Mulan came after
Mulan.
Hercules.
You could
I
probably
believe.
skip Mulan, but God,
No, you
But it's got
can't.
the nostalgia sauce.
It's my favorite Disney movie.
yeah.
So, anyone else have any particular sort of like
Jim,
hopes, visions?
Jim, are
I'm
you
sorry, I'm
familiar?
watching Sinbad. I need to stop.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Are you familiar with Jim, the Queen of Gold Tales of the Pirate Isles supplement for Shadows of the Demon Lord?
I am not. No.
Okay,
No,
I'm gonna send that over your way for inspiration, because that is some effed up.
I bet. Yeah.
It fits the timbre of your campaign, that characteristic tonal quality. It's
I like most of Rob's.
yeah,
stuff, so
it's not a very long book. It's about 36 pages and 10 adventures. I'm gonna drop some of the sick, nasty stuff in our Twitter chat of some horrible things going on
Are we
these
gonna
islands.
meet the naked pirate queen Baylet?
I mean, that's a possibility.
Fuck yeah!
Um,
I drop a picture of Baylet.
mhm.
We should get that's something
Holy
we have
cow.
to have in this campaign.
I found Josh's character. It's like a walrus-headed dude with abs and lobster claws for hands.
So far my problem with this campaign is when your brother's DMing, you only get so thirsty.
Sounds like a problem
off,
for you.
I sounds like
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and second, there's been time you've gotten plenty thirsty at other times.
This is true.
So there is that as well. I would say
a treasure map, but X has to mark the spot. Has
I'll
to be
get
like
thirsty with
a
myself. I'm not
old-fashioned-
worried about
A
it.
treasure map,
Treasure
but
map.
on a naked pirate queen.
old
Ooh,
fashioned.
yeah, like treasure.
Jeez, the spot. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Yeah. Is there should we move this to like a different kind of chat platform or something? Listen, we're gonna bring
just
playing
so
Dungeons
thirsty.
and Dragons to cam. That's what you're gonna do. Sorry.
That's all I wanted.
There you go. Old fashioned treasure map. X marks the spot.
Yeah.
Comma erotic. Listen, there's pirates, all kinds of salty dogs and the like in the Poisoned Sea. Of course, the Poisoned Sea is what the Wastelanders call it. The natives of the region, the people who were created to specifically live here, call it the Kaleidoscopic Ocean, because the magic here is so old and leaks out that you don't even need detect magic to see it. It just is everywhere in auras that you can see. And so it has a sort of shimmering kaleidoscopic quality to it.
How far away is it from Yonti Bayou?
It'll be far enough away that they're not just right next door to each other, but they could be. Most of the reptiloids, Yuan-Ti, lizard folk, and the like, they predate the peoples who are sort of like mage bred to live here. So it's not like, there's mostly I don't have any real definitions. It's just like, what kind of character do you want to play? And let's fit it in. Most of the people, like the fish people, fish folk, piscinoids, whatever you want to call them, piscinoids.
I'm a cephaloid.
I'm sorry. Is this a walrus man with crab claws?
Yes.
Yeah. That seems really awesome.
He's got some abs.
I made a water genasi. I'm such a fool.
I mean, it's not too late. So the idea is that Anders, the Vivimancer, had a bunch of apprentices. And that they all sort of like went on to have their own niche sort of specializations, and a couple of them decided that, like, if this world is sort of going to hell, we could maybe make some people who are adapted to live here. And so they created all the races of fish people and amphibian types, aquatic lizard folk, and I just was like, pick a player race that you want, and we'll make it fit this kind of mold. So for these people, the world is new. It's they don't really have an understanding of themselves as having lost anything. Some of them are even born with a bunch of like memories and knowledge planted in them already. Many of them were created to fight, sometimes against each other. And so there's sort of like ancient animosities that are born out of grudges between wizards that are long gone, that keep some of these people still, at odds with each other. On top of all that, there are wastelanders who can't drink the water, think it's poison, and just know there's a bunch of treasure down at the bottom of it. And so they're constantly invading with magic and old technology and things. And so that's kind of the setup. And I was curious as to, knowing that, what sort of party you want to make. Like, do you all want to be like from one specific area? Is it you want to be more mixed and just find some reasons to everybody stick together? That was one of the big questions I had for y'all.
Well,
You take your time. It's big. It's kind of I don't need an answer immediately.
All I had planned before this, Jim, was that I wanted tentacles, and you were like, "Here you go." And I was like,
Yeah, you could definitely be.
That's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah,
Tentacles,
you can definitely be an octopus person. Yeah.
So I'm pretty open to anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, in terms of just being an octopus person, that there could be a whole bunch of you. You could be the only one. You could be like an orctopus, right? Where you're
waited all night to make that pun.
Or where it's like you're
Nice.
clearly a wastelander and an aquatic animal like stitched together, or you could spoke, unique. It's all up to you. There's all of that is encompassed in the kaleidoscopic ocean and more.
Jim,
I'm listening.
what about a Nixie?
Mm-hmm.
Could
What
it be
about?
a Nixie?
Like a water spirit?
Well, like a water sprite. Yeah.
In general, the world of the Land Between Two Rivers has no fae because for terrible reasons. So it's one of those things where if you are, it's either that you're here and you're lost, which is totally fine, or that you take what a Nixie is and reimagine it as maybe an elemental or some kind of maybe incorporeal spirit that's not an undead, but not a fairy kind of thing, just sort of like genus loci, spirit of the land kind of thing.
That's what they used to think that they were. They were all spirits.
Sure, yeah. But like the butterfly winged, wears clothes made of leaves sort of fairies, they're long gone. Bad things happen to them.
Well, because I was thinking of doing a Selkie, and we had talked about somebody had stolen her skin.
Sure, yeah.
And had retreated here, and so she had followed them. So that's a definite, like...
and you could easily come from other planes as well, right? Like Tritons, some water ganassi, they come from the plane of water. So, but they're also, they come and go from here because they can. So either of those work. Like if you just wanted to keep the Selkie and be like a shape shifting type, aquatic creature where you're like an intelligent animal that can become humanoid,
Yeah.
and in becoming humanoid, become sort of amphibious.
hmm
Man, there's so many different ways we can reimagine that. It's like a weird wizard's creature or a mishap. Like who's to say you're not an aquatic animal that became a sorcerer and learned to do this weird kind of magic? Like there's all kinds of things we could do.
That one sounds fun. I'm going to think about that.
Yeah, give us some thought.
Here's what I was thinking for my character concept, because we're beginning at level 1. I wanted to play a Triton character. The class is kind of arbitrary to me. But they were someone, they and their family lived under the sea. There was a disaster. They had to flee out of the sea, and now I've come of age, and I have to go back. It's my time. There's been a call to adventure to return. And even though we know the sea is a horrible, dangerous, treacherous place, we have to go back. Or at least I have to go back. That's the difference. Not we, but I. So I have to answer the call.
Yeah, I like that. So you're like a group of these, maybe a group of these aquatic humanoids that for whatever reason, magic pollution or a monster or something had to flee, and now like they've even forgotten like where they came from. They've started to kind of forget what it's like or something.
Yeah.
In terms of like environment, I'm thinking of like places like Borneo, mangrove coasts. These are trees. These are sort of like magical trees that are resistant to the kind of the water here and have great big salt crystals and other things that look like cover their root systems. Salt flats, marshes, things like that. So it's sort of like very much tropical. There is vegetation. Not all of it is. Some of it is meat based. I'll just be honest. Some of it is a type of vegetation that's meat based, and that covers a lot of things. So, but there's all kinds of weird stuff.
Sounds like my dietary habits. Yeah, I'm gonna eat all those meat-based vegetables right here.
It's like one of those things. Like, what can we do to clean up all this salt? All this highly salinated water here. Well, we'll make a weird plant that needs salt, and then it just kind of got out of control. It's also an excuse for me to have weird, gross, bleeding trees and vegetation and kudzu vines, but it's tropical, right? It's sort of like gross hotbox rainforests and all kinds of like weird magical water and water effects. If you've ever seen The Life of Pi, where like all the different scenes where he's just like alone out on the ocean, it's kind of like that. I'm letting
They're not alone. Richard Parker's there.
Richard Parker was there, but Richard Parker is a poor companion to travel on the ocean with.
Says you. This is where we're going to get into this big philosophical discussion about Life of Pi.
What it actually means. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. My goal for today, like, just let's make some characters and figure out where we're going to start next week so we can hit the ground running. Like, no pressure. If there's time to like do something, we will. But mostly what I would like to do is establish our home base. If you guys have a ship already, what kind is it? Most of the oceans around here are very shallow, lots of coral reefs, and things like that. So
my goals for this campaign is to do everything in T-Pain's versus for I'm on a boat. That's it.
So I'll go look up those lyrics to refresh myself.
My autobiography.
It's not a complicated song.
It's not. But I want to make sure that I get it all right. I don't want to overlook
my swim trunks and my flippy floppies.
Yeah.
You want to ride a dolphin?
So, ride a dolphin. All right.
Want to fuck a mermaid?
That's. We could probably cover all those things.
Or a merman.
No.
It's not the song, Josh.
I will, Josh. But it's gotta be two.
Two of them.
Top to have fish head stop. I'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
A were mermaid.
Yeah. So, TK, are you still going with water ganassi?
Yeah. I
Brand,
actually
no.
had like, I was like, oh yeah, I'll wait for the primer. I never do. I'm gonna just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Fine.
Sweet. Let's see. I can get this. All right. I'm gonna close that window down before I get any more distracted than I already am. Okay. So, so what do you guys think? So it sounds like we've got everybody has like at least a type of character that you can operate indefinitely underwater, right? Like we're not dealing with anybody that has to come up for air every 15
Anna.
or something like that. Maybe Anna. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it depends because like some of the races that are like aquatic or just hold your breath for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I know water genasi, tritons, cephaloids are all
Water
breathing.
breathers. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I would certainly say that's if you play like a Selkie or some kind of like Nixie type, something like that, like basically sort of like partial supernatural creature. They'd be able to.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, can our ship be a sunken ship?
Yes.
Ooh, there's a lot. Ooh, there's some.
I'm thinking Donkey Kong Country 2, first level, King K. Rool, all that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, if everybody's can travel underwater indefinitely, is a ship even on the table? And if not, then a conveyance might be. In which case, yeah, we can.
Ships are great to hunt humans and other.
Yeah,
like
well, I was gonna say,
land-dwellers and
What if we have a bicycle-powered submarine?
No.
With a screen?
I've got a bunch of tentacles, so I can probably put more than one at one time.
Yeah.
I just like immediately. I'm in a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, like right
Yeah.
now.
It's like I don't want to use my legs. I might as well swim.
So okay, then let's. I want to make sure we've got the opposite covered. Like, who is able to operate outside of water then? Because it's like the cephaloids can to a limited degree, right? Like you don't have the.
We're good.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like you've got some. I didn't think you had a speed reduction like.
I think I go slower. I'm 15 feet instead of 30 feet, but I don't like dry out or anything.
Okay. All right,
Real mucusy.
Oh yes, you secrete mucus.
I keep moist.
Right. Okay then. So that sounds good then. Like that sounds like the best of both worlds because but there was a situation I was worried where it's like some people would have to be like, yeah, I can only stay in the water for 15 minutes or I can't leave the water ever. But that's fine. All right, I want to make sure I got everybody's shuffle. Any thoughts on like class or anything yet, or just you've got an image in mind of an octopus person?
I really want to be an octopus person.
Octopus rogue.
I've thought about maybe like a rogue, just looking at what they're good at. Like a rogue or something I haven't played before, like a fighter or paladin.
Octopus monk, 8 limbs.
No, I'm just.
Yeah.
They say Muay Thai is
Little
the art of 8
boxing
limbs.
gloves on them.
Oh, little
That's
box.
what I wanted. I couldn't find
Well, I gotta show you guys something. I wish Anna was here, but I'll wait. Just
tiny boxing gloves.
Did you get more tiny
Oh my
hands?
gosh, I love it.
Right,
Do the suction cups, do they do damage too, or?
They leave little round circle marks on.
Yeah, I forget what it does. It's like you get
like a bunch of little hickeys.
you get like
Octopus kisses.
use item as a
Octopus
bonus
kisses.
action.
And they got little red circles on you.
Right.
I kind of am feeling an octopus monk, where it's like, can you imagine like your flurry of blows?
I mean, that is really adorable. I kind of love it.
We did it with the centaur once, and I think octopus would be just as funny.
Drunken master style.
Oh no! Why is the rum gone?
You just like you can't keep any. It just goes. Okay. All right, Jim. So, if I could get some, I mean, we can talk about specifics later, but I kind of like the idea of a, you know, like an animal that has figured out how to turn into a person.
Go on.
Tiny hands.
No, no, no!
I love it.
He's gone
I
too
love
far.
how multicultural it is.
Yeah, for one, they gave the pack
Yeah.
came with it was
It's
not
black.
all white.
It's white.
But yes, I don't have enough to do all of my. What I want eventually is to have enough to
All of them.
25 little ones.
Yeah, get some Doctor Strange up in here.
So, yeah, I like that idea too, Josh, of taking the messed up animals that have survived into this age of the world, and like, you know, yeah, why haven't you learned how to turn into a person?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, why the fuck haven't you?
you know.
I'm kind of, Jim, we've talked about this. The sorcerer needs more subclasses. I feel like a shapeshifter focused subclass would be interesting. But anyway.
So are we talking like you could like the easiest way to do it is Moon Druid with a spell school swap?
Yeah.
You know, with a spellless swap. If that's what you're thinking.
Well, okay. Well, actually, that's interesting. Hold on. I kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. I want to think about it.
Think about it like that. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody's homebrew out there where there's like they do a one kind of shape shifting thing. And don't transmuters have a minor shape shifting?
They have a polymorph they get. Yeah, it's 6th level, I think.
Something like that. Anyway, but we can look at especially if it's just like I turn from one thing into another. Like to me, that's more like a racial feature than a class feature for D&D.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, give us some thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Give us some thought. But it does sound like that we're dealing with like an all aquatic. Everybody's like mostly submerged, but not necessarily. Surface ship is fine. Like you can carry a lot of stuff in it. It can be useful as a place to like fight from if you're attacked. You know, most people around this part of the world, they use like canoes, kayaks, much smaller. I forget what they're called. Is it not sampims? I think I'm butchering that name. Before I make myself even reveal my ignorance even further, I'm gonna look it up. So there's not a lot of huge boats, maybe like keel boats or long boats. If you're familiar with the D&D boat sizes, would be the biggest ones you'd see around here. Yeah, I was way wrong.
Sampan.
Sampan, yeah. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, I guess, I mean, what do y'all think about sort of like your characters beyond just sort of like, you know, their, you know, anything more about their characters really?
I want Larimar to be essentially like the main researcher from Stargate if he had taken Ra's deal. So he's a little nerdy researcher boy.
Hitting all my touchstones.
Well, they are. But yeah.
They're nerdy. All right.
Yeah, little nerdy researcher boy who's also a warlock of the Great Old Ones.
Okay, so that was one thing I was curious about. Which Great Old Ones are you have formed a pact with?
So, like, my personal feeling whenever it comes to warlock pacts is that I typically am like, yes, choose the path, but the DM chooses who it is. Because in my opinion, warlock pacts are inherently deceitful when they are not celestial. So.
Oh, certainly. Sure.
So it's like you never know who you're really making a deal with. So I would like to leave that up to you if you're cool with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any parameters?
No.
Cool.
They are a chaotic good person, but good people do bad things all the time.
Oh, certainly. All right. Yeah, is anybody else a particularly like religious character?
I am.
Your trident will be.
Yeah. And I was bouncing back and forth between like acolyte background or cloistered scholar, but I'm actually going with the far traveler background because
I did
we're
far
faraway
traveler.
people. Oh, then let me. I'm okay switching.
No. Far Traveler's a good background, and they don't have to be from the same place, and so that like kind of adds a little.
I get that, but I like diversity.
Let's see.
Yeah, so what we can do is go with I think I'm going to do Acolyte instead of Cloistered Scholar. Cloistered Scholar is great because you have things like library access. You show up in towns and you access libraries, which I've abused in many campaigns. But the reason I was leaning more towards that instead of Acolyte is like, I mean, who are the gods in this setting? Gildan thinks he's one.
they're all powerful enough monsters that they've convinced someone else they're gods.
I don't think my family would be convinced, though.
Yeah.
Well, then let me do Cloistered Scholar because it matches my character better at this moment.
Okay, that or what about anthropologist or archaeologist for you? No, it's a.
What is archaeologist?
They have some good ones. I think that's actually what Odd Knob was in your one shot.
Oh. Yeah.
Another good one for me might be either noble, folk hero. Yeah, I mean they're all fine.
Yeah, I think actually I'll do archaeologist because I feel like it kind of hammers home the sort of like Cthulhu vibe that I'm giving this character.
Okay.
Now, are you a water genasi from another plane who's come here, or are you from this world?
How deep is the poison sea?
Really deep. There are parts of it that are quite deep.
Yeah, because basically, Larimar is a deep sea water genasi.
Okay.
So it would seem like they were a far traveler because they're so like deep down, but it's more like
You're probably from a part of the ocean where it's the fact that this place has gone shit hasn't even registered.
Yeah.
Like your civilization and people are just just fine. There are many trenches and the like that house all kinds of.
Yeah.
It's a D&D world. I figure everywhere you look, there's magic and monsters and things like that, and so you just have to deal with the ones that live on the bottom of the sea.
Question.
Come out of magma vents and shit.
So like with Larimar, I've thought too much about Larimar. With Larimar, their skin is like this deep, dark. First of all, they have a translucent membrane over their skin, like a lot of undersea creatures do. And then the layer under is like deep, dark blue that has like little motes of light flickering in it.
Oh yeah.
So it's very like.
So I was gonna ask you, like, do they have any bioluminescence or anything like that?
They do in their hair. They have orbs that they decorate their locks with.
Nice.
But naturally, no.
Cool. There's plenty of places to live from. As a supplement to this, I'm using the Pathfinder book, Rulian Seas, which has a ton of like underwater stuff. And I picked it up and it's like there's just a lot of really cool stuff there. So there's plenty of places. One of the points that the book makes is like the ocean's huge and has a different like geography than the land. And so there's a lot of places to just get lost. And so.
Also, proportionally, they're like Slenderman.
Oh yeah.
They're real fucked up.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Jim.
Yes.
You finish your thought and then I'll interject.
My thought was just to build off that, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to include the Olm, is because they're so tall and slender, and they're sort of like underdark salamander people. But that's just a sort of a
okay. Yeah. I like them from Veins of the Earth.
Yeah, from Veins of the Earth.
Yeah.
So the idea would be that these are Olm that during the period where there was no sun, they kind of came up from the caverns below and now live in aquatic caverns much closer to the surface. They come out at night, but they're not like. They're still Olm, so they're real curious and friendly, and they just have enough food to eat. And don't have to spend centuries in hibernation, kind of like they do down in the caves. So they're more active. I've seen it maybe more as like otters, like replacing otters, except they come out at night and they're like 7 to 9 foot tall, faceless, sleek cave salamander people.
You've replaced my water sausages with these slime balls.
Yeah.
So here's a question. So this is actually a character-related question and a world-related question. So is there a language that would tie together learned people at all? For example, scientists in this world use Latin, things like that. But I was wondering if there might be a language, even in Stargate, because now that we've got Stargate references, I'm going to be thinking about that till I watch the movie again. There was commonalities in the language so they could communicate. So
sure. I think in this part of the world, primordial or Aquan are going to serve as those. And we were talking more about back north in the land between two rivers, it'd probably be Draconic or Elven as those languages. But primordial and Aquan. Primordial was the language that Anders and his apprentices, especially his apprentices, used. And as they created these different groups of people, they sort of like imparted a lot of stuff in their minds. I think that's how I think of it. So
interesting. And D&D Beyond's not giving me
unless you have a different.
No, yeah. I was just thinking I'd want to pick whatever it is as part of my background. Just be like, oh yeah, this is a language we studied as used.
Yeah. There's not. I'd say another real common language. I'd say probably Aquan is rather I should say like a dialect of Aquan. I don't know if we can just differentiate, maybe like Wasteland Aquan or I don't know something, but maybe a dialect of that is more what's used. It's gotta be something that you can speak underwater. That okay. It doesn't matter if your mouth's full of something or if you're you can be heard over greater distances.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. Like my character's proficient in musical instruments, and it might be that I do Morse code on my.
Yeah. It might. Yeah, there could be that. There's a lot of. I imagine song would be kind of a great way to communicate things long distance. In the same way, sort of like whales.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whales sing for like very, very long distance.
Sure. So another thing to consider is that I recently ran a one shot in which a group of the party raided one of the towers of one of Anders' apprentices and made off with a ton of ultra rare books from the secret library. And so those have been floating around recently. These rare, one of a kind, as in this one is the only one of itself in existence, like histories of the last, whatever 1,000 centuries or whatever, lost histories, lost magic. A lot of those have been seen around this part of the world lately because of this recent haul that came out of the tower. So it could be another reason maybe your characters have come there.
Got it.
Otherwise, I was going to have us basically use salt in whatever game we end up playing, have Saltmarsh be the home base, and kind of took it and used the map that was in Ghosts of Saltmarsh and was like, what if this place was like underwater? And so if you have access to Ghosts of Saltmarsh, you'd see that there's like some buildings that they're like gray, and I take those to be like stone, buildings that are several stories. The new structures are built on the foundations of those that sort of just barely stick out of the water. And then most everything else is just rotten underwater, but it kind of creates this weird safe harbor that prevents things from getting in, because there's all these like old beams and timbers and things that you have to know the area to avoid. And there's a giant druid's grove, which I kind of see as like a source of fresh water. It purifies the water around there so that people there can actually drink it. So they kind of like still tend the druid grove. They just don't know. They just know like, hey, we can kind of keep this place nice and clean and fish live here. We can eat the fish and we can drink the water and it's not nice. And, but they don't, have any idea of what this place was. They just know that they're here now. That's about all I know about the place. If we were going to do the Saltmarsh Adventures, I wanted us to kind of like work through the different factions in town. But if we're not going to do the adventures, I'm not going to play up with it.
Well, like that other work you said, the
Hot Springs.
Yeah, the hot springs.
Mhm.
Does that provide like a way to integrate that with Saltmarsh a little bit?
I mean, it's just an island, and
like
what
a
you
hex
find
crawl.
on it. Yeah, it's a 25 hex crawl that has very simple procedures for running it, and a lot of nested tables to just keep things very dynamic. So like whenever you enter a dungeon the first time, there might be one thing going on. If you come back later, there might be a completely different thing going on. And so it's just it's also like from a DM side, really easy to just like pick it up and run it. You don't have to do a lot of prep or anything.
Mhm.
And that's a bonus for me. But the way I would sort of look at it is like once the party is made, we'd come up with a similar framing device for you guys that gives you an excuse to visit the island, other than it's just there. And in Hot Springs Island, it's that you're hired, or rather you have joined up with a company that's commissioned to explore this place, and maybe you owe a debt to the company bosses or something. I wouldn't use that setup. I'd use something different, or just different world. But the whole point of it is like it's a tropical jungle filled with elementals and the ruins of several multiple highly advanced magical civilizations that faced catastrophe. It's like I have to do very little to make it fit with Lamatrici Rivers. It's sort of like already a tropical disaster, already. But there's a villain. There's multiple villains, that you can contend with. Lots of different factions that you can play off of each other. Fun stuff to just play with. Cool locations to explore. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just roll up some random tables and see what happens every week. And like maybe this week it's a storm that you have to deal with, or next week it's whatever. But those also assume you kind of have a ship, so we'd have to get creative.
Heck yeah, let's do the hot springs one. I like hot springs.
Springs. I think Hot Springs is I think that could be really fun.
I've wanted to play it since it was kickstarted.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And it's like I said, it's easy enough to integrate a lot of stuff into
Hot springs.
Hot Springs Island. So, anybody else have thought any more about their characters? I see y'all been chatting up in backstage, but I haven't been paying attention too much.
We've been paying attention to. We just
I haven't. Been
Okay.
No, it's not about y'all. It's always about me. That's how I live my life. No, I wasn't paying attention because I don't want to get distracted.
I want to play something I haven't played before, really. Which, honestly, there's a lot that I've played. So.
What is that, Lindy?
I know it's basically martial classes: fighter, barbarian, paladin. But I do love monk. I've played a few different monks, but it's such a fun one. I'm thinking a monk or maybe a storm herald barbarian.
Yeah, I was thinking barbarian octopus person, just
yeah.
Octopus rage.
Writhing tentacles.
Oh yeah, like if it's like a storm herald.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm seeing that. I could definitely see that. And
I was looking at the barbarian archetypes while you're talking, and I think for now we'll put her down as fun as an octomonk is. I think definitive storm herald barbarian, because I've never played a barbarian in more than one shot. So
cool. Storm herald. There's a lot of cool things you do, because it could be like you were. But there's all right. Well, I'll let you think about maybe how they became a storm herald. But there's I like that. So I like that take on storm herald barbarian. And then how about you, Grant? I saw something from you.
Wirris Dune, the Triton Paladin Far Traveler. WIRIS.
Triton Paladin. Now, I know we're starting at first level, but when you all think of your characters, like what sort of subclasses do you think of taking? I mean, I know you said Storm Herald for Barbarian. But
For the Paladin, I'm going to look at the oaths, and I kind of want to play to find out what happens. Like, a lot of people are like, I planned out my first 20 levels. With me, I kind of want to plan to say, and then talk with you about what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
I typically tend to lean towards Oath of the Crown, things like that, whoever's a leader. But I've probably done that one more than any other, but yeah, we'll see what's going on. I also like Redemption Paladins. I've played sort of the non-violent Paladins many times to great effect. Yeah, so I think we'll see, but I like the idea that there is this sort of like holy quest without there necessarily being, a godsend. This is kind of like, Arthurian Knights, Grail Cycle, Galahad hasn't been invented as a character. Percival is the character, so different influence. So that's what I'm thinking. So there's some old drive call to adventure.
Are you gonna play him like Robin Williams
In The Fisher King?
The Fisher King? Yeah,
that's a good movie, but
it is a great movie.
I think we need less naked Grant Ellises on the stream.
we had a lot of crazy Grant last time.
Yeah. I think we'll see what happens.
yeah, I appreciate that. Like, I think sometimes you have a vision for your character, and sometimes you just like you gotta see where the game takes you. So
Yeah.
I mostly ask just to see if there's anything like, I know some players when they're working up to their subclass, they want to have like certain moments or hit certain, have a certain experience or something like that, sort of justify it. Or provide an RP impetus for it. Just wanted to.
Well, when Josh dies on episode 2, that'll motivate me. No, I'm just kidding.
That's rough. Yeah.
Sorry, I got to be careful to say when Josh's character dies, because then people are going to be like, well, he obviously showed the type of person he was on Twitter. Like, let's talk about the death of that bearded beauty. That's all right.
Okay, Jim.
All right. What do you got?
Here we go. I do like the idea of, I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, a fish out of water. Somebody, but like an animal that is like fairy tale magical and is intelligent and can talk, like gets stuck here.
So you're talking about like an animal, a non-mutated like animal.
Yeah. Like
Your intelligence is 0.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, how's it going?
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
It's all right.
Continue.
Josh is telling us about a character idea he has for. So it's an actual animal, non-mutant, non-messed up. It doesn't have quills or venom or a buzzsaw arm.
No, which would make it very alien.
Certainly.
Like, it would look very strange.
Oh, a fragile baby.
Maybe. And probably before they became stranded in this realm, they were in the Feywild. They learned how to turn into a person. You had mentioned it earlier, and now I'm thinking like, how would that translate into a class and a character? And what Jim? What's your take on wild magic? I know you've talked about it before, but actually,
like in what sense?
Like a wild magic sorcerer, like.
Oh, I like them, and I think you should have access to Tides of Chaos as often as you can because it's a core feature of the subclass. So, I mean,
yes.
I know that you personally have played one with the DM who was like, no, you can only use that feature like once a day, and it was not a very enjoyable experience for you.
Also, I rolled the fireball.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, like really early.
Really, the only thing that I'm curious about with wild magic is like, are you fine with me using other tables?
Sure.
Not like I'm not necessarily the D10,000 one that they use on.
That's an interesting table.
Yeah, but I've got others that are.
You should use some black hack tables.
I was gonna say the black hack tables are really fun too. Black hack has some really fun.
I mean, I kind of like the idea that like thematically, the wild magic is kind of the conflux of the Feywild interacting with the Land Between Two Rivers, and it's just
Certainly.
like it's a different kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I was gonna go Druid. I'm like, I'm not gonna play a Druid 2 games in a row.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
But you're going to play a full caster.
I think so. However, TK, do you think this would step on Larimar's toes, playing another arcane caster?
No, of course not.
No.
Because
Okay.
Larimar, like, okay, first of all, I've never played a warlock. I just love the shit out of them because I love ruining my players' lives. The way that I feel about warlocks, and this isn't how everybody else feels, is that I feel like warlocks are kind of the status of warlock is like an additional thing on top of whatever they were doing when they weren't warlocks. So
Yeah.
like Larimar is going to be a little wizard baby, but like Larimar is not good at it. We need somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing. Please defend my baby. No, I don't.
Quick.
It's not gonna bother me at all.
My warlock's a pyramid scheme warlock, so I like.
Oh fuck yeah, that's my favorite.
I had like
The almighty Avon.
I always wanted to play a priest that was like a crooked priest, and so like literally a devil shows up to make a pact with him, so that he could really go all in. And so, you know, I was thinking of the priest's tale or something from Chaucer. I forgot the name.
Nice. I usually think of warlocks as like ticking time bombs. Of like you have this long before your decisions that you made pre-game ruin your friends' lives.
Literally every warlock I played, it's been like that. And it's just like, great.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed the campaign. Bye. Asmodeus just reaches in and picks me.
And like I'm going with like a very Cthulhu vibe. Like it's gonna be great. You're gonna do
Cthulhu vibe. You say?
Yeah. So we're talking about potential characters for this game. Bring you up to speed. We are playing in a part of we're no longer in the land between two rivers. We are in the land of somewhere else.
Between
right
three rivers.
You're right.
2 oceans.
No,
the land between 2 oceans.
The land inside one river.
I'm about it. Sign me up, fam.
So the river feels like an ocean.
So the idea is that you're on a like a landmass. Maybe it's a large island. Maybe it's connected to the same continent that the rest of it's on. Like you're in this along a coast where the magic that pollutes this place is so old that you don't need to detect magic to see it. So everybody can sort of see the auras of like the wreckages of magical constructs or like epic spells that are just like still, their after effects are fading. So it creates this kind of like kaleidoscopic effect to the water and all the coral reefs that are around there. It's a lot of little islands and the like that are around there. Big influences, Pirates of Darkwater, Waterworld, of course. And you can bet there's going to be some jet ski riding somewhere around here.
Done. This is Waterworld 2.
Waterworld 2.
Vacation.
I'm telling Twitter right now.
Yeah, The Beach. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, The Beach.
This is the beach hot springs episode.
Yeah, and we're specifically going to be exploring a place called Hot Springs Island, which is an island that has the ruins of a former elven bathhouse that was also like a fertility temple kind of place. As well as some like elemental influences and the like. So it's tropical, hot, humid, psychedelic coral seas kind of game.
That sounds badass.
Yeah. Most of the people around, most of like the fish people are like created by basically Anders' apprentices. Like they don't really, some of them know it, some of them don't.
Yeah.
And
could be another one.
And so there's all kinds of different fish people and the like, as well as the standard lizard people and snake people and frog people.
Okay. Yes, I am digging this. So, since most of you watching aren't really part of the DM on Twitter, obviously, I did ask if anybody would make me a character because I wasn't sure what I was going to play. And I asked Josh if he was down, if he wanted to.
I sent you a link. Did you get the link?
I did not.
Okay, I made you a giant crab man, or sorry, crab lady. Oh
I see it.
yeah, what was her name? I enjoyed the name.
Myrtle Strunk.
Strunk, Myrtle Strunk.
Is she strunk?
Love it.
She's strunk.
Oh hell yeah!
And
I'm down.
I imagine her like wielding like a pike, and she would constantly come up to things and like try to crack them like you'd open up a shell, even if they weren't open upable. But that's just me. That's I created that on my lunch today.
I am down. So she's not a turtle?
No, I use turtle because it has everything that a crab person would have.
Okay,
Like a hard
okay.
shell, a claw tag.
Okay.
She should have a warhammer that's made out of the shell that she grew out of. So
Yes.
as she levels up, the warhammer just gets bigger and bigger as she grows out of her shell.
You are
Oh, I
a
love
genius.
What if she had crab babies that were constantly living under her shell or on her
Oh
back?
my god, crab sounds so good. I'm so hungry.
I was gonna say if she could use a crab mallet and crab tongs.
I was thinking the
Use
crab.
a giant crab mallet.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Anyway,
am down. I'm down to play this character. I honestly see her as kind of like an older lady.
mhm.
Wanted to. I mean, once you mentioned the kids part, maybe she won't have like an old lady accent, but
It could be her grandkids.
I'm actually a little disappointed that I didn't make a monk mantis shrimp.
it's gonna be a
You
secret
punch so
party.
fast they boil water.
Also, you're mostly translucent.
Yeah.
These hands.
That's really awesome. All right. So it's crab. Crab is, I mean, they're crustacean. All right.
Crustacean.
Yeah, there's plenty of like sea crabs that are underwater all freaking.
Oh my
Are
god.
you happy with Turtle?
Crab.
Does that work
Yes.
for you? Okay.
I love that character. Thank you, Josh.
Oh, okay, you're welcome.
Yes, I want to play that. It sounds cool.
Cool.
Can she have like a cool mohawk?
Ooh.
Like maybe made of seaweed?
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I
it's
love
so
her.
cool. I'm gonna draw it in paint.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the thing. Is like I was basing the characters I was trying to create for you off of what I wanted to draw at the time.
Yes.
And I thought, what if a crab was a lady and also swole? Well, that's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
I'm
Yes.
gonna be the strongest grandma that ever
All
were.
right.
Yes.
Please tell me that's your grandmother voice.
Oh, it is now, girl. We're gonna eat all. What do crabs eat? Shrimp?
Other, yeah.
Crabs eat dirt
Fish.
near anything they get their claws
She's a crab cannibal.
I've seen sometimes birds.
Gravitable.
Like,
You would
right?
The
Birds. What?
You
Like,
would
have you
be-
not seen those crabs that eat birds?
Crab
Yes,
eating
they're
a
freaking
bird.
insane.
You'd
Yeah.
be instinctively afraid of Lindy's character because crabs actually avoid octopi because octopi get them and tear their shells open and eat the crabs and then leave the shells as husks. I know this because my 6-year-old son has been studying about sea creatures and he spent an hour describing watching an octopus kill a crab. He's like, and it
my
has
God.
teeth on its tongue and it ripped the shell and flew away. And like,
Those
Oh.
are heckin' fun facts.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Octopi are super
octopi had teeth.
This crab just looks
On
like
their
a giant
tongue.
fucking spider.
And they got like little,
Yeah.
like
And they're terrifying. There's a lot about sea life that's like you don't have to do anything to it. It's already a D&D world down there.
It's real fucked up.
You know, it's already terrifying. Like, go watch a video of like a sea cucumber eating and tell me that's not a carrion crawler. Like, it's just it's disgusting.
What moment?
You know what sea cucumbers are called? They're called touch-me-nots.
They don't look like
Yeah.
they want to be
That's
touched.
really cute.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you touch them, they spew seed at you.
Oh, gross.
Well, that's-
gross.
I've got a list of all the sorts of
It's-
things that aquatic creatures do.
Real Japanese, like anti.
I bet.
There's a reason why they thought of that tentacle thing pretty early on.
It's just
Yeah,
it's a neat place, and so most of the seas around here are shallow, less than 100 feet deep, and therefore they get a lot of sunlight. They are have a lot of like coral life to them. Of course, most of that, almost all of it, is magical, because the plankton here eats magic stuff, and the algae here eats magic stuff, and so all the coral does, and that's how you get monstrous fish
Yes.
Like you get, say formations that are gigantic, and are a threat to even humanoids and people-sized creatures. So that's kind of what it's like around here. Most of the vegetation doesn't extend too far into shoreland. There's sort of like marshes and salt pans and the like along the edges. If there's rivers or something there, the vegetation might extend up them. But you don't have to go very far before you get into just dry grassland that is just full of terrible people. That's where the wastelanders live. They very rarely come here unless it's to like steal something from a wreck or something like that.
Krusties and Harrys.
Yeah, there's some of them live around here, but they tend to keep to themselves. Vice versa. So yeah, anything else about y'all's characters that we need to go over or look at? I think it seems like some of them, like Larimar and Weiris, are like you guys have already. They're ready to go. Anybody else still have?
We made second level. We were ready.
Oh my god, second level already. Jeez, you guys are flying through this thing.
Level 20? What?
Level 20 campaign win. Don't worry.
Epic legacy.
He already said that we can fuck mermaids, so really.
I was also taking requests. So,
Yeah, you have requests. If you have any requests.
Yeah.
yeah, so right now the list consists of Kraken Fight, Mind Flayers but sexy. If there's
That was me.
Mind flares, but sexy.
That was me.
If there's
It would be.
if there's a ship, we're calling it the Chum Guzzler,
Not me.
and that's preferably Lindy's character. We're taking inspiration from Michelle Pfeiffer's character Eris from Sin.
Me.
We're looking at Tales from the Demon Lord supplement, or Shadow of the Demon Lord supplement. Where Bellet, the naked pirate queen, is in
It was me.
the adventure. I'm putting her on an encounter table right now.
Basically, all the loot things. It was TK.
No, I was not
If it was Josh
responsible for
helps,
Chum Guzzler.
yeah, just
I'm gonna draw all the naked stuff, guys. It's gonna be
yeah. There's an old-fashioned treasure map with an X marking the spot, and it's something about the treasure map is erotic. We're using the Lonely Island song "I'm on a Boat," especially the T-Pain part of it as our bucket list.
Who suggested this?
That's
TK?
me.
And then I'm creating the patron title. That's the last.
Yes.
So any requests, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So basically, anything goes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just we're gonna have a.
No, Lisa, don't come in here. Your delicate ears. No.
Hi, Lisa.
I signed up for a wholesome web
Yeah.
DM stream.
Mhm.
Is that? Oh, I'm sorry. That's Tuesday night. Oh.
Yeah, do you know us?
I'm in the wrong campaign.
90-30.
Sorry.
I don't know about Tuesday night.
They give us our-
Emma and I have already
I
talked
can't believe
about.
you said that with like a straight face.
It's because I've hung out with Prude enough. We can talk about each other.
Yeah.
Lisa, Jim said we can fuck a mermaid.
Yeah, they can. They can copulate with a fish person. Um,
Oh no!
it's a doodle. There's pirate doodles on there. They get bored, and so there's probably
Yeah.
erotic pirate doodles.
Yeah, it's erotic. It's tattooed on the back of a naked lady.
What do you think they did? What do you think that volcano started as?
Probably a belly button piercing. But
Probably
then,
both.
like their
I was not thinking that, but I thank you for going.
It's confused.
And it's all right. It's fine.
Lisa,
so-
I'll send you a DM about that map later. It was a good joke, but I don't think I can make it twice on Twitch in the same stream.
Is it a naked lady with a map on her back?
Ooh, that's a good idea too. Well, that is.
Oh,
all right.
that's what you
I
said.
said this idea.
Yes.
Wait,
But that's-
wait a minute. Isn't that the plot of Waterworld?
Well, first off, well, except it's a child.
Ew, that's a child.
Oh, I thought it was on the mom.
No,
Never
there
mind.
was a. Yeah, there was a.
Less.
I like a 0.
Do I need to switch back to that Sailor Boy animation?
Yeah, good back pedal.
It was almost the plot of God, what's that movie with Gina Davis?
to the internet.
The pirate movie?
Oh yes, there was a pirate movie.
Something Island.
Cutthroat Island.
Cutthroat Island. Oh, it's such a
Cutthroat.
bad movie, but so
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Meanwhile, I'm just thinking about like Muppet Treasure Island, and I'm like,
Yes.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
wants to play Tim
Black
Curry,
Spot.
So there we go. That's really great. Who else? I forgot where we were.
Anna, did you have any requests?
Yeah, any requests, Anna?
I'm gonna have to think about this.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about my character.
Yeah.
Like of how cool
Mm.
this crab lady's gonna be. Like I kind of want her to have a peg leg, if that makes sense. Like imagine if Junkrat was an old from Overwatch was
Oh, yeah.
an old lady
My fave.
that loves chaos, but also wants you to stay hydrated and have a good meal.
So
I
that
like
you
it.
can survive the chaos.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
Very important.
She's like the friend's cool mom that takes you to the raves in town and is like, don't forget your granola bar.
Huh?
And I packed you a lunch.
Gotta
Yeah.
stay hydrated.
Like
You gotta stay hydrated if you're gonna be taking that much X.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'll make sure that I'm gonna pick you up at 2 a.m. So you know.
I thought it was
Not a
called
minute
Asia.
late.
Maybe
For
I'm
him.
a 90s kid.
yeah, if like I think of anything related to said world and or anything. I mean, besides maybe another, it could be another map with a naked lady, like a map on her back.
Two
Mhm.
naked ladies. They were twins.
Ooh.
You have
Complete
to
the
get
map.
them together.
Yes, to
Two
complete the
halves of
map.
Yeah.
2 halves of them.
Go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, Jim, I have a request.
Okay.
I'm not
Hear
sure
me
what
out,
we're gonna do with them, but I want sailors that are currently drowning. Like, oh no, we can save them, or maybe pull them under.
But yeah, so okay, right. Yeah, a rescue of some sort.
Mhm.
Oh, man overboard.
Man overboard, yes.
Yeah, man over.
Yeah.
Right.
I've decided that my character's name is either going to be Ophelia or Octavia, and her favorite thing is tea parties.
I think it has to
We're gonna
start
get along.
the race to the top of a crow's nest, and the octopus has to win.
I feel like Octavia really fits into the cephaloid
Mm-hmm.
theme, but I feel like Ophelia is like so fucking classy.
Drowning.
I know they're both good. I'm gonna have to ruminate on that one a bit.
Mhm.
I've already decided Calliope is the
Calliope's a good one.
Also a good one.
Calliope,
name
Yes.
I'm going with.
Like Dumbo's Flying Circus.
Calliope. And so for Calliope, what kind of animal? Are you going with seal, or was there another?
I was thinking otter, but otter's not like sea; it's like river. So.
There are.
There are sea otters.
Sea otters.
There are?
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cute.
Yeah,
Yeah, sea otters are big boys. They're big old
Yeah.
boys.
They're adorable.
they're big.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh no.
Google, help me. Okay, yes, a sea otter then.
Okay.
Oh my god, they are cute.
And then had learned how to turn into a person
Mhm.
while in the Feywild, while that was possible. And so I don't know why they're stranded here if they're not like a Selkie that needs the skin to transform. Maybe they're like a Selkie, but they have to carry around their human skin. That's gross. Never mind.
No, that's awesome.
Wait, that's kind of cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Put it out
yeah.
there.
Well,
Like-
that's the other thing.
Don't
Do
take
they
it
become a
back.
human? Like, do they become human if they're from? Like, if they're like an intelligent animal from the Feywild, they could easily turn into an elf or something like that. I mean, you don't. I guess what I'm trying to say is you're not restricted to human.
Yeah, their alternate form could be like just like a straight up capital H high elf, and then
Sure.
yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but their high elf skin, which is really gross. This is some Cronenberg shit.
Do
Their skin got stolen, so that's why they're here.
Oh, so they had it like in their bag, and then somebody like looted. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
anything, but it's just like a
Yeah, I mean,
foldable piece of huge elf skin.
maybe we can figure that out together. Yeah, the idea is the skin maybe it's just like a piece of skin, because that would be like a lot carrying around.
Usually, or sort of, usually it's like maybe an old werewolf legend was like a belt made from the skin or fur, so it could be like a belt of.
I like that.
Like a belt of elf.
Is it unrippable?
Elf belt.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into if I can rip it or not. That's.
So does that mean that if it's been stolen that you're in your otter form until you get it back?
Yeah, the legends say if you wait like a year and a day, it'll grow back on its own. But like I'm going to say, it hasn't been a year and a day.
Yeah.
Because I'd like that to be maybe an early thing.
It could have just been like a thing that happened really recently.
Yeah, in which case I don't know what I'm going to do as a sea otter. It's a little different.
Spells, right?
I guess so. I've got hands.
They're big though, right? Like they're at least small. They're at least the size of a halfling or a gnome. Right?
Yeah. They're weighing 14 pounds.
I mean, a small halfling.
Well, I'm a check.
These are Beastlands Feywild sea otters. These are like they drink the giant's milk.
She's a big girl. Heck yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
All right. So skin stolen, otherwise becomes a high elf. And so the next question I have for you guys is: does everybody have a background that they are satisfied with? And are there any questions related to their background? So, like, just look at you. Don't have a background yet. Okay. And then so an archaeologist.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick with the Storm Herald Barbarian.
Okay.
I went with anthropologist instead.
Anthropologist.
I got to figure out what she's doing. Who she be?
Gotcha.
Or I can.
Does your barbarian octopus have like 2 great axes? Or what about 8 great axes? How cool would that be?
Why yada?
I don't know what weapon I'm going to go with yet.
There are also backgrounds. There are new backgrounds in Ghosts of Saltmarsh as well. There's like sailor, fisher. Like the fisher's like you're a heroic fisher. Like you're not like some pauper. You're like a legendary fisher.
And like you're really good at catching fish.
Marine is another so you might want to see if those might strike fancy.
Yeah, I'm gonna do entertainer background. I think for
entertainer
for Calliope. I'm not sure what her race is. We'll figure it out.
I imagine it'll be interesting to make.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd like to think that
no, this invites made an otter. It's a playable race.
Well, because like otters are like intelligent and social, and they can like play with stuff. And I like the idea that at some point she's like entertaining like a Fey king or something, and then maybe that's how she learns how to turn into an elf.
I mean, if you're from another world, then there's any number of explanations. You were saying like you're a fairy tale talking animal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Let's see.
Which is gonna be so weird. I love it.
I'm trying to think. Like, so what are the qualities of it that you want to have, like, an otter?
Well, I mean, are you talking about like stat blocks? Or are you talking about?
I'm just about like, how you're gonna actually make the character as someone to play?
Well, that is a good question. I assume in like primary form, in otter form, small, because even a sea otter is not going to be huge. I don't assume, but I'll look into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hold on. Females are smaller. Whatever. Males can get up to like 4'7". I'm like, that's medium sized.
Sure. I think we call it small. I mostly was just like, is there anything other than just being a talking otter that can that can cast spells and turn into a high elf? Because otherwise we might not even we might just like, I don't know. Let me think about how to handle that. Because I'm trying to think of something so that you don't, I don't know, feel left out or something. I don't know. Let me think.
Well, I mean, we can come up with another backstory. The whole stealing the skin thing came from when I was using a traditional selkie as a as a race. Like the one from Trip
Like I
Out.
said, I liked it because it gives you a reason to get out there and do something. But
Yes.
one of the things I want to get to before we wrap up is sort of a framing device for it. So
Okay.
think about it. We'll chat about it before next week. We've got time to nail down the details. Mostly just wanted to get you thinking about it. So entertainer for Calliope, and then what was Myrtle's background?
I'm still not sure, but I'm kind of thinking Marine.
Mhm.
Because, exploration, combat, athletic,
Right.
survival, that kind of jazz.
An old veteran.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a Junkrat and a combo. I don't know why I'm thinking about Overwatch.
Old soldier.
Or soldier. Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, darn kids.
And then still Far Traveler for Wirrus or Acolyte?
Far Traveler.
Far Traveler. All right. I think right now I'm sure I'll have questions about some of this between now and next week. The other two things I want to get done was like just fleshing out enough of Saltmarsh so that it suffices as a home base. And then coming up with some ideas for maybe why your characters might be given reason to go to Hot Springs Island or visit the island in the first place. So like Saltmarsh is this sleepy little fishing town, supposed to serve as like a rural settlement for your first tier adventures kind of thing. And I don't it really just depends. We can build it as we go. We can ignore it entirely, and it's just sort of a place that we reference. It's really up to y'all, I think. So is there anything about like having a home base that's appealing to you? Any reason why your characters might be at this location in the first place? As I see it, this is sort of like just an everybody kind of like comes here settlement.
Like a retirement home?
Not necessarily like a retirement home, but like just
vacation.
Could be like a vacation.
Because
your home away from home.
Yeah, like what I'm thinking is that maybe word got out, or maybe Myrtle got a letter from somebody, some mysterious person that said, oh, this is a perfect place to settle down and or retire or whatever. So Myrtle's going here thinking, dude, that sounds pretty dope. I want to retire. I want to stop fighting because my little crabbies hurt. Crabbies? My chompers?
Crablets. Oh no. Chompers. Yeah.
Chompers.
Yeah. My clackers are hurting sometimes, and that makes me crabby. So, yeah, that could be it. And then when she gets there, probably shit goes down and it's a whole bamboozle, and she just wanted to retire, and that's why she's even more mad.
So how long has Myrtle been in Old Saltmarsh?
I don't know. That's a good question. Did she... Maybe she's new. Or maybe she lives, on a little tiny island, if anything, a little bit of ways from there. And then got there and was like, hey, my little island was too dangerous for my old little soul. But she could still kick ass.
Yeah, it was the safety in numbers from the city, or not even city, town. Most of it's on planks and piers and sort of built above the water.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, okay. So you're sort of from the area, but have only lived in the settlement for for just a little while. Then come here seeking some peace and safety. How about anybody else? Why would you find yourself in a sleepy fishing village like this? That's far out of the way from all the horrors of the wastelands and like.
I mean, as far as Calliope goes, it's got to be that she's tracked whoever has her elf belt to this place. It's got to be.
Okay.
The hook.
So you're here. That you've tracked the thief down. How hot are you on the thief's trail? Like, are you catching up with them? Is it what's
Well, to maybe give an in with the rest of the party, maybe she was not hot on them, but then she got a tip from somebody passing by, and it turned out it was one of you guys, y'all peoples, and so uh, they almost got them, but now they're looking. Or now she's looking, at least.
Okay.
Saltmarsh.
All right. And what? Anybody else have any connections to town or from here?
I think that Ophelia or Octavia might have a tea shop here to fuel her tea party addiction.
Like
she's she's got a little tea shop.
What
Now, she might not own it. She might just work at it. And, the benefit is, free tea. But,
there's a lot sort of about the character of the settlement that I was curious, what you guys were thinking about.
She works in a tea shop.
Okay. So this is sort of it's sort of a very laid back kind of place. It could even be like, this is a place where the aquatic peoples, because it's sort of above the water, can I don't know, get away from it all.
Yeah.
It's like it's all on piers and old sort of, foundations of old buildings and things like that. It's a safe harbor, clean lagoon. Water here is great.
Maybe it is kind of a vacation spot then.
Yeah, there's even like some mud flats nearby, or mud bath there is not a bad. They're just dangerous though. Sure.
Make you sign a waiver before you go.
A nice place to relax. All right. So how about Wirus or Larimar?
Wirus would have been. They were traveling at the beginning of their redemption quest. I imagine very similar to D'Artagnan at the beginning of the Three Musketeers. Just 18 years old, yellow horse, going to town. He's gonna be a hero. Except immediately there's an abduction attempt. It's just kind of like, who's this idiot? Except they learned quickly that I was armed and lethal. So I finished my ride to town after the failed abduction, but they may come back to haunt me.
So were these potential abductors, were they wastelanders? Were they some people that are from around the kaleidoscopic ocean here? Who are they?
I'm unfamiliar with the locals. My best guess is that they were maybe it's just how they say hello in these parts. They take people against their will, but I did not stand for it.
Well, there you go. And gave them a sound thrashing that sent them packing. All right, so then Wirus arrives in town. How long ago was this then? Is this a recent event or something that's I don't know, in the past?
It was 4 hours ago.
Okay. Let's see. All right.
That'll give you some fuel.
All right. There we go. Okay, that works. And so, is it that you came to Old Saltmarsh just because you heard that there was a settlement here and it's near the near where you're looking for, or is it something else?
I have just recently answered the call of a higher power to begin my quest, and what I did is I picked up a die and I rolled it onto an old map, and the die landed on this town. The fates decided.
The fates decided. All right.
I did actually know that, Octavia, but I'm not going to announce that for the audience. Because my wife used to teach people about those things. She was the zoo lady that went from town to town. She didn't teach the kids that one, though.
Some people in here are uneducated, so I was just informing them.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
Fun fact.
In fact, all right. So for
Oh yeah.
for Larimar, what's how are they? How do they find themselves here in town?
Larimar, so part of the bonds that I have with Larimar is I have a trinket that I believe is the key to finding a long lost society. So that's why Larimar is here. Larimar needs to get a ship, get a crew, and essentially hire people to take them on this expedition.
Okay.
Larimar has no money. Spent all their money getting here, so sure hope they can find a crew here.
Right. Okay. Right.
But do they like tea parties?
I think Larimar would. I think Larimar would accept tea.
Yeah.
Larimar would appreciate the gesture.
Okay. Because if they're like in a limbo or, they need help, Grandma's got you.
Oh my gosh, Grandma, thank you.
I'm cool. Cool like that. I'm a cool mom. I'm cool grandma.
Yeah.
Thanks, cool Grandma. Are you putting anything in the tea?
Maybe.
Larimar has anxiety. Larimar can't drink things. Not like that. There's a lot of caffeine in tea.
Oh no, but there's a nice herbal blend. It's a kelp tea.
Mm-hmm.
Celestial seasoning.
Yeah, I want you to imagine like Larimar. Larimar's a lot like Arthur from The Sword and the Stone, is like just holding the teacup.
This ain't my sword.
Yeah,
Jeez.
right now Larimar is like their big thing is that they really believe that they have the key to finding a long lost society, and they want to hire a boat. They want to hire a crew. They're like, please take me. I want to discover this society, please.
All right. That's really good. So so they've come to town. They're looking for some crew. Anyone? There are a couple of boats in town. Like there are people that either you can rent them out, I guess. Or something.
They don't want to sail with anyone scary.
Most of the people here seem friendly enough. Yeah. There's most people in Old Saltmarsh are they're fish people. They're from around here. There's a collection of them. They're not like all one type of fish person. There's even some like aquatic, like say, aquatic iguana people, from like things like that.
Are they mean?
I don't know if anybody's mean. I mean, there are some mean looking people here.
Oh no.
Lots of them are armed. But
with like knives?
With knives, axes.
Oh no.
Yeah, javelins, that kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but it seems like a nice enough place. And like I said, it's a
oh no, I know exactly the person Larimar is now.
Oh yeah?
It's like you said they were armed and Larimar's like, no. Oh, spooky.
So you can see that this that the village is kind of like built in the mouth where the lagoon meets the rest of the ocean, and so it's mostly these collections of buildings built on piers and sort of like plank walkways between them. Sometimes it's like more like a rope bridge, and occasionally you see sort of the tops of older buildings that have since been flooded, sticking out from the top of the water. We're gonna go ahead and say it's a pretty sleepy place. There's less than 500 people that live here. This is not a particularly like active part of the world necessarily. It's rather quiet, and that's hence its relaxation. There are even some outlanders here, some wastelanders who have learned to fit in and don't make a nuisance of themselves that hang around. Anything in particular that's in the village that your characters you might like to see, or that is particular significance to your characters, especially those who've maybe been here a while?
Larimar just got into town.
You just you got in right ahead of this Triton who looks like someone.
I almost imagine Larimar was taken and released, just kind of just
like Larimar, like if anybody sees Larimar in the streets, then they have like a map that is, first of all, written in primordial, or probably it's probably written in something that's like super old, where they're just like, or like undercommon,
Right.
like a language that nobody else here really cares about or is necessarily learned in. It's not necessarily archaic. They're just like, and I got this from the library, and it's like they're just like holding it in front of people. They're just like, please, can you show, do you know library?
Yeah, there is a on a separate island, not that far from where the main village is, just a couple 100 feet. There's a clearly like a dilapidated old stone house. There are lights on in there, and if you ask about a library, books, writing, anything, they point you to that.
Simply fantastic.
Yeah.
The way I see it is like anthropologist gives Larimar adept linguist, but they are very socially awkward. So they're just like,
oops.
I think you speak the same language as me. Please help me.
Which is like, but most people might like look at Larimar and go like, recognize that you're clearly from like deep, from far away. But it's still a fish, still an aquatic person. So they extended a bit of friendliness to Larimar.
Yeah, Larimar's just like, please, library, and they like point it out. They're like, oh, thank you. And then Larimar, as soon as they finish the conversation, is just like, I'm not sure where I'm going, and now I'm too afraid to start another conversation with someone.
Ears don't extend out to the island. You'd have to take
they just walk to the next side of the block, and they like look for somebody else who may not have seen them having a conversation, and then like unfold the map again, just like what?
So one of the things I'm curious about, Brielle, is like how do you all meet up? Like, or is that something that we want to cover next week? You want to have already been have met one another, or
if Myrtle likes the tea shop, then she and my character would have met.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe be friends.
Yeah. Like what I'm kind of envisioning for Myrtle, even though she's still pretty new to the town, she's one of those ladies that just kind of adapts to everything or anything. She's one of those that you meet and like immediately like you hit it off and stuff. So even though she hasn't been here for very long, she can she's very welcoming to new people, because maybe somebody was super welcoming when she came to this town.
I was.
Yeah. So she wants to take everybody under her. Ben, what are crab's legs called? Crab legs? Okay.
Crab's legs are called legs.
He's like the person to ask about anything ocean-y, so I thought there would be like a cool name, but
Cool term.
seems like there should be a different name for them.
yeah. Legs.
Appendages.
Legs.
Appendages. Dope crabby legs.
Yeah.
I think
Crab legs.
my octopus lady has lived there for maybe a little while, enough to be holding a job down at the tea shop. I think though that she doesn't want to pay for rent anywhere, so she just like squeezes through, because I can squeeze through tiny spaces even though I'm a medium-sized creature. So I think she just like squeezes through like a spot on the pier. There's like a little like maybe cave underneath. But they built the pier on top of it, so the only way isn't through like a crack like this big, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of like, there's a bunch of houses around here that are just like little more than foundations, but their cellars are flooded, things like
Yeah.
that.
I live in like an abandoned flooded cellar.
Yeah. And I even like
Reason. I never have guests over because none of them fit.
Except that jellyfish couple. So they're like, I imagine most of the buildings here also have like water entrances as well that you can like swim up to and come, right in there. Like swim up bar, T-bar.
Yeah, Moondock or whatever that was called.
Yeah.
Moongate, something like that.
All right. So kind of like, sounds like a lot of you just like recently arrived in town. You're here for your own reasons, and are looking perhaps for others to help you or to help accomplish your goal. One of the things with Hot Springs Island is this company, and I kind of put some thought into it myself. I think like the way that they frame it is that if we were all humans and dwarves and shit, that would be the people who hired you to send you out there. So I'm thinking maybe next week we'll deal with like motivations for getting out to Hot Springs Island, other than just it's out there. I think certainly the trinket is maybe connected to one of the civilizations on the island. I can definitely see Larammarsh trinket having having that. Those of your characters who are like familiar with this place and familiar with the environment around here, that there's ruins all across the ocean floor, and that it's pretty clear, to those of you who have maybe studied it or have a bit of understanding of history, that this place was a land that was sunk by something, and it was the beings responsible for your own creation came afterwards. So it's one of those things where if you're a fish folk of some kind or an aquatic creature, then you're like, I don't know, it's like if there was a creation myth that acknowledged that there was other things here first, and like you're not the first people to have lived in this world, but you do see it as like now yours because sea isn't poison to you. It's not you can live around here, eat the food, and survive, and it's just fine. So yeah, I think maybe next week we'll cover like motivations for getting out there. We'll do like have your characters meet up or anything. Unless there's anything more y'all want to cover today. Any other last requests or thoughts?
Not really. Enough naked ladies were mentioned, so.
Yes, yeah, that was very, and it's hot enough around here. So like, I don't know why you'd want to wear all those.
I don't wear clothes. I'm a barbarian. I'm unarmored and undressed.
I'm chain-mailed.
I put on
very modest.
A modest.
Extremely modest. I mean,
Okay, so Octavia owns the tea shop.
No, I think she just works there. She's just an employee.
What's the tea shop's name?
Ooh, I gotta get a real punny name. Hold up.
I was gonna say Under the Tea, but that's dumb.
No, I like that.
That's cute, actually.
Like
It's
that.
pretty cute. It's pretty cute.
Under the tea.
Under the tea.
And the way they serve it to you is you just get underwater and they just put the tea bag right over you, and then
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
boil the water around it.
Sunken tea
Yeah.
shop, so
Yes,
the
the owner is a mantis ship.
You just have a long straw that goes to this pot. Under the tea.
Under the tea.
There we go. Under the tea. That's
So the tea
I'm
shop,
mad.
tea shop, I think is sort of a central feature then of this place. There's no wall. They don't even have a wall.
Yeah, it's
right?
like one of those swim up bars, but it's for tea shops.
Yeah.
What if instead of like a bar or anything, everything just happened there? Like, if there's tea, there has to be like little snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh no, definitely.
tea cakes.
It's just half sunken, so like people who don't want to get wet can sit on the dry side, and then the wet side. Maybe like little people who want to just soak in the tea. We just put extra tea in it, and they get like little separate water sections, like barrels in the water.
There's some like grung here who swear by tea baths.
Hmm.
and they just bathe in
Gosh,
it.
I love grung.
We should have gone all grung.
I should have. I didn't think about grung.
We were such fools.
There's Grung, there's Gripply, there's that other one that's an evil frog person, like Bullywug.
Still, but grung are the best.
Grung are the best, yeah, better than the.
They're so cute.
Bullywug.
Oh, I love their dumb little heads.
But yeah,
The
there's
bulbous head and eyes. Hey everybody.
like a sweet bath that's really good.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff like that. So it's like it's a sort of relaxing kind of place, and of course,
Yes, I was about to say that. Tea shop and spa.
Shop and spa. It's in the vacation town. Everyone comes here to relax.
Yeah.
Then it really is under the tea because it's like tea.
Yeah. Like tea on your eyes.
They have like tea exfoliate.
Yeah.
I would say
Tea.
Calliope is definitely going to be there, although I'm sure she would stand out like a
No, we get
Like
some
a-
more customers.
like a otter in Monster Town.
But yeah, for one though, right? Yeah, you do stand out as a bizarre.
Yeah.
Most things around here don't have fur.
Surprisingly not mutated.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, they're not grotesquely large or been given an inordinate amount of natural weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've got paws
Yeah, I mean,
and like really impressive insides.
intelligence. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
yeah,
as soon as you start talking, like for most people in the wasteland, they deal with enough weird stuff that speech and the ability to converse and especially to behave yourself is usually all that matters for most people to just at least give you the time of day. Like if you talk and you don't try to mess with them, then most people are not going to mess with you.
I like that. That's very like egalitarian or whatever.
It is sort of just the general ethos of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't, what are they gonna do? Just gonna run around killing everybody? Come on.
Yeah.
But
Lairmar
you
is convinced everyone wants to eat them, so
it's they're just oyster knives, Lairmar.
please.
Uh,
I can only imagine. It's like somebody like takes a fork out and
right. So yeah, we'll get to a lot of that. I'm also curious if this is Lairmar's first time anywhere near the surface. If that's
everything is so bright.
right, there's a
They're like
hurricane.
bouncing because it's not as dense down up here, so they're like, oh, okay.
I imagine shouting as well because you're used to talking very quiet,
Oh yeah.
or if you can't be heard.
Yeah. That's where their con bonus comes in, is that they're very like dense as a creature, even though they're like very tall and thin for like sliding in between rocks.
Wait, what were you playing?
Oh, water genasi.
Oh, okay. And then Grant, what were you playing?
I'm a Triton Paladin.
Ah. Okay. So I can get a picture and,
Yeah.
how to take care of you as a grandma.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I put a picture of me in a. Oh gosh, you're slender man.
I'm serious. Like that's like Lairmar's just like tall, skinny, like Stephen Merchant. I want you to imagine Stephen Merchant.
Right, yeah. Great. So we'll flesh out Old Saltmarsh as needed. There's a bunch of stuff around here. Those of you who are around here, there's a bunch of like former forests nearby that are generally places people avoid, both because two of them are very dry and not anywhere really
it's so
near
different
water.
than a kelp forest.
Very different than a kelp forest. But one of them is like a flooded forest that that at certain times of tide you can swim, like it connects with the ocean that you can swim to. But it's also infested with a bunch of gross fungal growths and weird, sort of terrifying creatures. But now that I kind of have a better idea of what game we're going to be playing and who the party is, I can actually write up a proper primer to give you an idea of like what's around here, what's going on, common knowledge type stuff. And then next week we'll kick off with, I don't know, we'll see. We might do like a start at the island and then do some flashbacks on how you got there. That'd be pretty fun. But unless there's anything else around, any other questions, I will. I think we can kind of call it an early session, and yeah, looking forward to starting us out here. Y'all
It's gonna be
good?
so fun.
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to you about like building the race or whatever.
Certainly, yeah. We'll go over details and like if you got any questions about equipment and stuff, I'm not going to be super detailed with like you're wearing too much of whatever, but I mean most people don't wear like really heavy armors underwater. It's hard to swing a great axe under there, so I'll have some equipment options and things here for y'all just to have some stuff.
Yeah.
Are
we all level 1?
We're gonna start at level 1, yeah, and we'll probably go. I don't know. Probably go to like level 5 or 6, I would imagine, and just kind of keep it low level D&D. Hot Springs Island has a reputation for having some pretty deadly creatures and things on it. So it's mostly all custom stuff. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out, but it's also really fun. There's a lot of really fun stuff there too.
I'm excited.
Yes. All right. Well, if that is everything, and you have characters to your satisfaction and all of your questions answered, let's go ahead and head on out of here. I'm just going to do, I'll throw it to you guys and, say goodbyes. Anything you got coming up or got going on, let us know. Anna, we missed you at the beginning, so why don't you start us off?
I missed you guys. It's been so long. A whole week. Hello, I'm Anna, or Cyborg Pizza on the interwebs. I play video games and D&D here, and just hang out and have a wholesome time, and I pet dogs. I'm allergic to cats, so sorry. So I only pet dogs. But that's it.
Nice.
Take it away, Josh. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Oh yeah, okay. I'm Josh. I'm Beard for Charity Online. Beard numeral 4 charity. I actually just posted some Myrrh love, a drawing I did. So check my Twitter for that. And yeah, I like to draw things, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun drawing this crew because this is gonna get weird. I can see it now. It's gonna get real weird.
It's
and then now we're gonna shift to my bro Grant.
Hey everybody, my name's Grant. I'm an independent content creator for tabletop role-playing games. I have a Patreon that I use to pay cast members of my live streams. We have a show coming up in July on WebDM. Sharong Bizwaz is going to be running Blades in the Dark. Jim's going to play. Jordan Shively, Hottest Singles on Twitter's going to play. And there's going to be a cast of faces, not including myself, that you might recognize from other places around the web that are going to dazzle you in John Harper's 19th century fantasy setting where night reigns eternal. It's sort of a scoundrel, skullduggery, backstabbing, thievy kind of setting. But there's a lot of cool stuff that they're going to do with it. I'll be producing the show, not playing in it, and we're coming up with a lot of cool ideas. So the Patreon goes to pay the cast. If you're interested in some of the things I'm doing, I'm currently writing a not-so-secret 125,000-word manuscript for the 5th edition of the world's most popular fantasy role-playing game. You'll hear more about that later this month. And you can follow me on Twitter at WisePapaGrant. Take it away, Lindy!
Okay, thanks, Grant. Hi, I'm Lindy, Left of Lindy. Can't wait to play the octopus lady who works at the tea shop next week. Gonna have to do some ruminating on that. But you can find me online, Laugh of Lindy, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. I play in and GM a lot of games. Some super special, super fun ones coming up, especially this weekend. It's a busy week. Tomorrow night, my channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, they are doing an Aliens one-shot. So come check it out. It's gonna be fun. I play the worst medic ever.
Yeah.
So just come for that alone. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So, got you covered for 12 hours apart. Teenagers from Outer Space Summer Camp Edition. So I think I've been I've been told there's going to be scary stuff, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I doubt my character will be scared. Also Saturday, right after that, immediately after that, check me on a Hollow Tales channel for Britannia by Gaslight. It is a hallowed metropolis kind of Victorian horror game. I love it so much. And then yeah, just fun stuff. Follow me for Ravenloft Spoops on my channel as well. So
There you go. Awesome. TK.
Yes. Okay. It's me. It's TK. I write spooky stories and I put them on the internet. And if you like spooky stories, then you can read them at tkjruts.com, or you can follow me on Twitter. TK joins the fray. I've had Larimar for 2 hours, and if anything happens to my precious baby, I will kill everyone in this room and then myself. On my boat.
That seems like a healthy reaction to a D&D character.
Am I fucking wrong?
No, come on.
Right?
Seriously, right? Like if anything happens to your character, you go berserk. Come on.
Yeah.
Part of you. You might as well just go.
Yeah. I didn't realize that I was essentially creating Sobble from fucking Pokemon for this character, but I guess that's what I did.
There you go.
Oh yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I am Jim. That's my name, Jim Davis. I'm not losing my mind. And this is WebDM's channel. Go check us out on YouTube, where we have Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPG advice and inspiration videos. And go and check out all of our awesome players, both here and on Starward Bound on Tuesdays. All the cool stuff that they are doing. And I think the next time we will see you guys is next Tuesday, because I don't think we got anything going on the channel this weekend. But yeah, we will see you later. And from one tiny hand to another, see you later. Bye bye.